This video is made possible by the free-to-play action game Crossout. Check out the game through the link in the description below, and you can also start with 3 extra weapons or a vehicle cabin just for registering. There are ships that are kept hidden from the public that pays for them, usually because they are of an experimental nature. Other ships are presented to the public as existing for a purpose far different from the role they actually play, and some ships simply operate in environments where their mission and work are classified for national security purposes. The operations of submarines are nearly always kept secret from the public, leading to their adoption of the designation in the United States of the Silent Service. Some of the ships in the video today were designed for specific purposes, which were classified at the time, and most of their operations remain a guarded secret. Others continue to cruise the world's oceans, often conducting covert missions for the benefit of their governments. In the video today, 10 ships whose existence or mission remains shrouded in secrecy. Number 10. Oster. Oster, which bears the pennant number A52, is one of a class of 3 intelligence-gathering ships of the German Navy. The vessel's original design was to gather strategic intelligence on the Soviet Navy. The ship carries a crew of about 36, while offering living and working spaces for up to 40 intelligence technicians and specialists. All 3 vessels offer accommodations, which are much more luxurious than usually found on a warship, and the vessels were built without armaments. The data collected by the technicians aboard comes from an array of sensors, including hydroacoustic, electro-optical, and electromagnetic, nearly all highly classified. The ship was designed for long-term deployment and has been used in the past as an advanced warning vessel, as have its sisters in the class. Powered by a pair of diesel engines, Oster has a range of over 5,500 nautical miles and a published speed of over 21 knots. The German Navy classifies the ship as a fleet service vessel, though Oster's main service is the acquisition of intelligence in support of the German fleet and NATO allies. Number 9. NR-1 Nuclear Research Vessel. The smallest nuclear-powered submarine built to date, NR-1, NR stood for Nuclear Research, entered service in the United States Navy in 1969. Its normal crew size was 3 officers, a crew of 8, and a pair of scientists. The submarine was less than 150 feet in length and was built without a galley or bathing facilities. Normal operations saw the submarine towed to sea by a tender or support ship, and then it descended to depths officially acknowledged as far down as 3,000 feet. It was fitted with a robotic arm for recovering items from the seabed or placing them there. Nearly all of the vessel's missions in the 1970s and 80s remain classified. Officially, 35 naval officers and crew and 10 scientists were assigned to the NR-1, residing in the support vessel when not one of the 13 deployed in the submarine. They were required to pass a personal interview with the Navy's Director of Nuclear Propulsion until 1982, Admiral Hermann Rickover, who designed much of the NR-1. Rickover officially designated the submarine as a research vessel, which allowed him to avoid the scrutiny of other government activities both in and out of the Navy regarding the vessel's costs and its use. NR-1 was decommissioned in 2008, its reactor defueled, and it was eventually scrapped. Number 8. Banner-class ships. The Banner-class ships were converted light freighters built for the Army during World War II. Among the 3 ships was the ill-fated USS Pueblo, seized by the North Koreans in 1968. The Navy designated the 3 as environmental research ships, though in fact they were part of the AGER, Auxiliary General Environmental Research Program, run by the Navy and the NSA. The ships served as electronic intelligence gathering platforms. They were intended to remain in relatively set positions for an extended period of time to monitor communications, an ability which the Soviets had already deployed off US coastal waters using modified fishing trawlers. When North Korea seized the Pueblo in January 1968, a trove of highly classified material fell into their hands since the crew lacked sufficient time to destroy what they carried. 1 American crewman was killed in the attack, and the remaining 82 were held as prisoners of war for the rest of 1968 before being released into South Korea on December 28th. The communications equipment captured with the Pueblo allowed the Soviets to more fully understand the information being sold to them by John Walker and his spy ring. Some have suggested that need to gain access to the equipment was the incentive for the North Korean action. USS Pueblo remains a commissioned ship of the US Navy more than 50 years later, though it is still in North Korean hands. Number 7. USNS Glomar Explorer. Glomar Explorer was built by Howard Hughes for the ostensible purposes of mining manganese nodules from the ocean floor. Its true purpose was to allow the US Navy to recover a sunken Soviet submarine K-129 in a program known as Project Azorian. The CIA-run program needed a ship which could lift the wreckage of the submarine and raise it into an open bay, all without being observed. The ship recovered some of the submarine in 1974, though how much was actually brought aboard the Glomar Explorer remains a matter of dispute among researchers. Some remains of the Soviet crew were recovered and buried at sea, with a videotape of the funeral given to the Russian government in 1992. The entire recovery operation was videotaped by the CIA aboard Glomar Explorer, which remains classified more than 4 decades later. Glomar Explorer's only operation at sea surrounded Project Azorian. In reality, the ship had no mining capabilities. It was too expensive to operate and maintain for the government to find any buyers for the vessel. In 1977, the US Navy spent approximately $2 million preparing the ship to enter the reserve fleet at Suisun Bay. It was later converted to a deep ocean drilling ship as Explorer. It was eventually scrapped in 2015, and most of the secrets of its operation remain unknown to the public. Number 6. HMS Echo. HMS Echo is another small vessel of the Royal Navy classified as a hydrographic research ship. Echo and its sister ship Enterprise are capable of long-term voyages anywhere on the waters of the globe. In the early 21st century, Echo was deployed to the Far East and Indian Ocean on a 5-year voyage. The ships are able to support such long missions due to a unique method of deploying their crews. Nominally, 88 crew members are assigned to each vessel. Only about 48 are actually aboard. The remainder are engaged in rest and recreation, as well as training and other duties ashore. The typical rotation aboard is 75 days, followed by 30 days ashore. Other ships, especially nuclear ballistic missile submarines, have had 2 crews, with one operating the ship, while the other remaining ashore, recovering and completing advanced training. Echo's arrangement, other than that of its sister ship Enterprise, is unique. Normal operations include working directly with submarines, providing them with real-time hydrographic data. Echo has also been used in Somali pirate interdiction and in show the flag operations around the world. The nature of the vessel's work with submarines ensures most of its operations remain highly classified. Now, just before we get into the next half of today's video, I do want to take a moment to quickly tell you about today's fantastic sponsor, Crossout. Now, you might not be able to use any of these rather inventive ships in Crossout, but you can make your own. In fact, you can be even more inventive. Crossout is a game where you get to build a vehicle completely from scratch and then pit it against other people's vehicles. Crossout isn't one of those games where it's like, yeah, you get to build your own vehicle, but by build your own vehicle, we mean you could choose the type of ammunition you get. Oh no, from Crossout, you get a frame, and then you build up from there. A vehicle, cabin, guns, rocket boosters, whatever you want, you stick it on there and see how it does. If you build it well, you're gonna dominate. If you build it badly, well, it's just not going to work out. It's a super fast-paced game with lots of different game modes, and you've got pretty much limitless freedom to create, and what you do with your vehicle is entirely up to you. Also, a major plus is it's not complicated right from the start. You just fire up the game and you'll be battling in no time. There's no learning the ropes, just immediate gameplay. But also, once you get a bit better at it, you get to do more advanced stuff, which is great. So join us on the battlefield for free, by the way, using the link in the description below. PC, Xbox One, PS4 all work, and going through that link gets you a free starter set with 3 extra weapons or a vehicle cabin. All is just a bonus for registering. Doing that is really a great way to support the show as well. And let's get back to the video. Number 5, USS Parche. During its 30-year career with the United States Submarine Force, USS Parche, a Sturgeon-class fast attack submarine, became the most decorated ship in US naval history. During its career, it received 9 Presidential Unit citations, 10 Navy Unit citations, and 13 Navy Expeditionary Medals. Nearly all of them were for operations that were classified then and remain classified today. After receiving modifications in 1978, Parche became an active participant with the Naval Underwater Reconnaissance Office. Most of its reconnaissance operations took place in the Pacific and offshore of the former Soviet Union. One such operation was known as Ivy Bells. Ivy Bells was an operation jointly run by the CIA, the NSA, and the US Navy to monitor Soviet underwater communications cables which were well within their territorial waters. Navy divers installed an induction tap on the cables, and submarines visited the site periodically to retrieve and replace the tape recordings of Soviet conversations at the highest levels of command. Ronald Pelton, an NSA employee and traitor, revealed the operation to the Soviets, who then recovered the tap. The Soviets displayed the tap at the Great Patriotic War Museum in Moscow, clearly marked as property of the United States. Number 4, USS Potomac. USS Potomac was built as a Coast Guard cutter, purchased and modified by the Navy in 1936, and assigned as President Franklin Roosevelt's yacht that same year. In August 1941, FDR announced that he was going on a brief fishing trip using Potomac. He departed with numerous guests from the Naval Submarine Base in New London. After cruising briefly around Martha's Vineyard, the president's guests were put ashore and the yacht stood out to sea. Once in the Atlantic, it rendezvoused with the heavy cruiser Augusta. Roosevelt transferred to the Augusta and the yacht continued to steam, seemingly aimless, in American coastal waters. Augusta steamed to Placentia Bay, where it rendezvoused with the HMS Prince of Wales, bearing the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Winston Churchill. A double resembling FDR remained on board the Potomac, which deliberately steamed in the vicinity of other yachts and boats where he could be observed and photographed. Thus, the press were fooled into believing that Roosevelt was relaxing on his yacht when in fact he was meeting with Churchill to create what became the Atlantic Charter. Roosevelt returned to Washington via Maine and the railroad. After his arrival and the announcement of the charter, the conservative press howled over the deception and over the president's taking the United States another step closer to war in Europe. Roosevelt continued to use the Potomac as his presidential yacht until his death in 1945. Number 3. USS Halibut. USS Halibut was a one-of-a-kind submarine originally built to support the launching of missiles at sea. It was equipped with Regulus nuclear-tipped cruise missiles. After the Navy fleet's ballistic missile submarines rendered the Regulus obsolete, Halibut was modified into a special-purpose boat. The spaces formerly required to support missiles were modified to include special equipment to support operations on the seabed. Among them were fore and aft skids, anchoring winches, and a saturation diving habitat. Halibut's new role was as an espionage vessel, and like Posh, it supported Operation Ivy Bells as well as other undersea work. It was Halibut which located and surveyed the sunken Soviet submarine K-129, and which stood by during Glomar explorers' attempts to recover it. From 1965 to 1976, nearly all of the missions undertaken by Halibut were classified. The aging submarine was decommissioned in 1976, though it remained in reserve until 1994, when it was finally stricken from the Naval Register. In describing the submarine's operations in various citations, the award reads, "Successfully concluded several missions of significant scientific value to the government of the United States. Most of those missions remain closely guarded secrets." Number 2. Yantar. Yantar is a relatively new ship of the Russian Navy designed for intelligence collection. Although its full capabilities aren't known, at least to the general public, the US Navy believes the vessel acts as a mothership for mini-submarines which can operate at great depths. The mini-submarines are believed to have cable-cutting capabilities. Since the vast majority of data traveling between nations does so via underwater cable, Yantar offers the capability of disrupting international communications, including banking, information exchange, correspondence, and everything else which we rely on the internet to do for us today. The official Russian position is that Yantar is an ocean research vessel gathering data via onboard sensors, as well as that provided by the mini-submarines it deploys and supports. The vessel has been observed by the US Navy as well as NATO navies in several operations, including at times being reported hovering in the vicinity of underwater cables. In 2020, the Brazilian Navy encountered the Yantar near an underwater cable and challenged the Russian vessel, which responded by securing automatic identification signals and ignoring the Brazilians' questions before departing the scene. Number 1. Sea Shadow 9-529. In 1984, Lockheed and the US Navy worked together with the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, to design a ship utilizing stealth technology. The intent of the program was to discover whether surface ships could hide from electronic surveillance. From 1984 to 1993, the project was highly classified, and the ship was not revealed to the public. It was built inside the Hughes mining barge, a massive vessel originally built to support Project Azorian. The barge served as a floating dry dock in which the vessel, named the Sea Shadow, was built and initially tested out of sight of the public eye. Taxpayers learned of the ship's existence in 1993 when the Navy announced the success of the program and transferred the vessel to San Diego Naval Station. There it remained until 2006, when it and the barge in which it had been built were mothballed at Suisun Bay. It was finally sold for scrap in 2012. Much of the technology developed using Sea Shadow appeared in the US Navy's Independence-class littoral combat ships, as well as the Zumwalt-class destroyers of the 21st century. Sea Shadow never operated as a warship for the US Navy, nor was it ever commissioned, but the project played a major role in the development of surface warships of the American fleet of today. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe. Please do check out our fantastic sponsor, Crossout, and thank you for watching.